A recap of Daily Healing Prompt number 162 class that we did today. And it's Spirit, if it's in my high school, please show me the most impactful point that I can heal about dysphoria. And dysphoria is like unsatisfaction, dissatisfaction, just a general unhappiness. Okay, so like Kat started off by like going into trans stuff about dysmorphia and dysphoria and about how it affects trans people and like about the way their body looks because of the such hard boundary, the hard line of what this and this and this are supposed to be, what gender is supposed to be, what femininity is supposed to be, what masculinity is supposed to be. And then she kept referencing like matriarchy because it's the opposite of patriarchy, and about how there's no word for it, it's just the opposite thing of the thing. So I did the word and phrase healing to all that. Anyways, after we did the cleanups and we went into it, everybody went forward, like we all collectively went forward instead of going back or like to the side or like somewhere. It was like a forward movement, and I was like, man, it looks like this, like the things are like this and it's moving like that. There's no like, it's not clear, and it makes it so unclear that it looks like there's lines. There's flat white lines going in front of them, and everything else is staying as it is. And Kat was like, is it because of the things that we heal are changing so fast and rapidly, and the world is around it is like staying in place? And I was like, that reminds me of how people, when they talk about like, you know, like parts of the collective will be like, the world's just getting worse, it's in a worse place, and it's like they are in the least amount of debt that they've ever been in their whole lives. They're the happiest they've actually ever been in their whole lives. They got a promotion. They did like a lateral move. Everything's like opening up to them, and and so that moved like a lot of stuff with it. Like it got like the white line. It made it come more into focus. The healed parts come more into focus. And then we were like, okay, let's go to the earliest point of this we can heal. Again, this is a recap, so I'm trying to remember and say all the things. And then I was like, man, it's like this like thing in front of us, and it's like we're preparing. It's like we're preparing to put things into like blocks or like define them, or like this is to go into this. And the premise of it is religion. It feels like organized religion was coming into play, and so in order to like focus on that, or in order to, it's not even focus, it's a preparation to like do that, we were putting things into like boxes. And so Kat was like, all right, let's go back to before that happened. And I was like, yeah, let's go back to before organized religion. Let's go back to the earliest point. And then Kat was like, yeah, it's like how things used to be defined. Like before they had to label everything before organized religion, and whenever things were just labeled as they were. Like there was really no label. It was just like basically to where it was not defined. It was just like, she's like, I find it really interesting people that talk about the testosterone and being on testosterone or estrogen, how like when they go on estrogen, men go on estrogen, they will become more caring and they remember things and like communicate more. And then when women go on testosterone, they will like forget the details or things like that. Anyway, so the whole thing of that was to say like, went back to before it happened and healed all the things. And then Kat was like, all right, is there anything that anybody individually wants to heal about their own individual stuff? And nobody was really saying anything, but I was like, okay, whenever you asked that, I specifically got body, and everybody nodded their head, everybody in the class nodded their head. And I was like, I find it really odd how it used to be like dysphoria with my body, but like for whatever reason, people's stomachs, they have problems with their stomach, and it only seems to be their stomachs. Like they have problems with their stomach, and it's not just the stomach, it's their lower stomach. And everybody was like, and Kat was like, well, that makes me think of my C-section scar. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, whenever I look at it, I'm like, oh, that has a scar underneath it, that's why it looks like that. And I was like, why do people's stomach droop? Because mine used to not. Why that does not, a thing drooping? You would think that with as much weight that I've lost, you would think that my whole body drooped. No, it's only people's lower stomach. And I was like, why? And she's like, well, what is there? that needs to come out. And she started talking about her upper arms and how she couldn't wear anything that exposed her upper arms. And I was like, there's clamps in there. There was clamps in there. She's like, did it let out my tentacles? And I was like looking. She's like, well, what's in lower stomachs? And I was like, tentacles. It looks like tentacles. And I started pulling them. And I was like, oh, they're dead. They're dead tentacles. They don't need to be here. And I was like, okay, everybody update, upgrade, rebirth, and regrow your tentacles. And I was like, mine are not growing back. And then Kat was like, well, then why are they, like, everybody else is growing back? And other people's were. And then I was like, I think it's because I don't need them. I don't need them. I've already switched that channeling to something else. Very interesting and exciting. And yeah, it was really fun. We all had lots of fun in it and figuring out all the things.